All right, team, so this is 51. It says the vector I represents 1 mile per hour east, and the vector J represents 1 mile per hour north. So if I think about this as like never eat soggy waffles, right? So north, east, south, and west. If I think about this, like what they're saying is that I represents 1 mile per hour east. So I is going positive in this direction, like X on the x-axis. And then J represents 1 mile per hour north. So J is going up like this, right? So that's like the y-axis, right? It says, according to her GPS, at a particular instant, Tia is biking 30 degrees west of north, right? So here's north, 30 degrees west would be like over here, right? 30 degrees. At a 30 degrees west at 16 miles per hour. So we know that this would be 1 and that's 1. So this would be 16. That's how fast she's going. All right, so basically like we're saying this is a side length of 16. And then we need to see we need to know which of these directions she's going. So in this case, I know that this would be the positive I direction, and this would be the negative I direction. So I know that she's headed in the negative I direction. So I'm going to look for the ones that have I that's negative. So I can see that A and B have negative I, but this one is positive, this one's positive, this one's positive as well. All right, so C, D, and E are out. And then I see that I'm moving in like the upward direction, which would be positive J. Moving downward would be negative J. So in this case, I want to move up because she's moving to the negative I, but she's moving positive J. So I'm going to choose the one that has positive J. Right, so vectors are just kind of funky. It just means they're headed in a given direction, just like physics class. So for 52, this one looks kind of familiar to something we've done, but is a little backwards. So for 52, it says let f of g of x equal this. So we've done this before where you like take this thing and put it inside of there. But what they're saying is this is already when g is substituted into f. So when you put g into f, you get this out. And then they tell us what g of x is. So I can see g of x is here, right? That g of x that I see is there. So if I want to take that section out, right, if I'm going to remove this, right, I want to work backwards, then this would be just x that's in there, right? Because remember, normally I take this and I replace it in there. But in this case, this is already the replaced version. So I want to get the unreplaced version. So f of x is equal to cube root of x minus 2. And then g of x, just like we said, is equal to x plus 1. Right, so that's the same thing. So we were able to take out that x plus 1 and replace it with x. Right, we're going backwards. So then it says which of the following defines g of f of x. So this is like g of f of x. So we're going to take the f function, we're going to put it into the g function. So in this case, I would have cube root of x minus 2, and then I would have the plus 1 coming down here. Plus 1 like that. I know that I can simplify like terms, so I get negative 1. So cube root of x minus 1 would be g of f of x. And I can see that that is my answer right here. The correct answer is G. So that is 52. And then finally we have 53 here. It says consider sets A, B, C, and D such that B is a subset of A. So basically what they're saying when they say subset is inside. So if I'm drawing, here's A, right? B is inside of there. This is B. So everything that's in B is also in A, but we might have some things on the outside that are in A, but not inside B. And it says C is a subset of B. So C is inside B. So C is inside B, like this. So C is inside B and inside A. Right? And then it says D is a subset of C, or D is inside C. So there's even a smaller bucket that has D in it. So D is inside C, is inside B, is inside A, right? So we're kind of like working our way backwards. So it says whenever X is an element of B, right? So X is in the B camp. There's X right there, right? Then X must be an element of, so it's an element of B, right? It might be in here and in here, right? But it doesn't have to be, as I drew right here. But it does have to be inside of A, right? There's no way that it's not inside of A because B is inside of A. So we'd say that A is our correct answer, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be inside of D. It doesn't have to be inside of C. It doesn't have to be inside of C and D. So we know that it has to be A. Some people have told me that they think about this as folders. Like if you have A, and then inside of it you have B, and inside of that you have C, and inside of that you have D, right? Then if I have something that's in the B folder, it might be in C and D, but it doesn't have to be, but it definitely is inside of A, right? So it's inside of A, just like that. And then finally for number 54, we actually solved this problem on our warm-up. You have two ways of doing it. Number one is to convert them into fractions. So this goes here, x to the 4 over 6. This goes here, x to the 4 over 3. Right? In order to put them together, I need to be able to add the exponents. And so I need to be able to get them with the same denominator. So I'm going to multiply this one times 2 and times 2. X to the 4 over 6 times x to the, this would be 8 on top, over 6. And then I want to add the exponents. So I would have x equals 4 plus 8 would be 12 over common denominator 6. And 12 over 6 simplifies to x squared. So x squared, our answer is J. The second way that you can do this is you can use your yellow calculator to plug in numbers for x, right? So let's just say I had like 3 to the 4 and 3 to the 4, right? If I typed this all in my calculator, then I would get a number. And then I would go ahead and see if I put in 3 here, if I did like 3 to the 8/9, see if that gives me the right answer, gives me a matching number to this, right? If it doesn't, 3 is not the number. 3 to the power of 9 over 8, right? See if that matches, it won't. And then x squared, so it would be 3 squared, which would be 9. So this number is 9. 9 matches this number here, 9. So we know that our answer is J. All right, so again, you would use a calculator to get this number here. That's it.